edition of the HSBC Premier Personal Economy Summit, Your Wealth and Beyond, in partnership with ET Now, was held in Mumbai and Delhi. In this episode, we bring to you the highlights of the summit and glimpses of the inspirational stories shared by our power-packed speakers. The first session was on the topic, Is Your Passion a Part of Your Daily Life? And the speakers for this session were Narayan Murthy, Amitabh Kant, Prahlad Kakkar and Stuart Mill.
What is our ambition today? It is to create a society where every child has decent access to education, healthcare, nutrition and shelter, and equal opportunity to better one's life. Our aspiration, which is a higher level of ambition, is to create a society that will be better environmentally and economically than the one that we inherited from our parents and the one that we are going to pass on to our children. This appears somewhat impossible, but then the youngsters believe in the saying that a plausible impossibility is better than a convincing possibility. This is also an ambition that transcends your personal needs, your personal trajectories, and it is something that will make the society a better one. And it's passion that is the fuel for us to achieve our ambitions. Passion, in some sense, is an intense emotion, a compelling enthusiasm, and a desire for something, according to Wikipedia. Passion is what gives us energy, enthusiasm, confidence, courage, and ability, as well as perseverance, to continue doing what we believe in.
I've been associated with 4 different initiatives. I did build Kerala as a tourism destination through the God's Own Country campaign. Later, I came into Delhi and did the Incredible India initiative. And much recently, I did the Make in India and Startup India initiatives. But I've been involved with the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, building new cities in India. And, one of my great joy has been that the kind of initiatives you get to do in government, the size and scale of it, you can never get this opportunity anywhere else. Secondly, I've always believed that you need to surround yourself with outstanding people. I mean, if you have mediocrity around you, you can never deliver. And therefore, it's very important to have the most creative people, whether it was for the God's Own Country or Incredible India. I worked with the most creative people around, the best creative team around. Thirdly, I think it's important to differentiate yourself from the rest of the world. So whatever you are doing, try and position yourself, brand yourself, which is very different from anything else that you're doing. And I think the most critical thing is that you need to have the vision, the dream, the passion, the energy to be convinced about what you're doing. If you're convinced about what you're doing, you will always have the clarity of mind to go ahead and go all out and achieve that. And I think that vigor and energy is very critical, not only just in you as a leader, but in the entire team around you. That passion, that commitment comes from your conviction that you're going to do something which is going to be absolutely world-breaking, which is going to put India right on top, and that whatever you do will never be second class ever.
I was very confused. I didn't know what to do. I ran all the way back to Delhi, actually, where my parents were. So I was floating around in Delhi, and I was walking past Jorbagh Market, and there was a place called 1 Rattenden Road. I still remember the place. It was a beautiful old bungalow. And there were these people sitting in the lawn in a winter morning, eating lunch and sharing their dabbas. And I said, hello, this looks like an interesting office. So I went and said, what do you guys do? So they said, oh, we are an advertising agency. We're called Advertising and Sales Promotion Company.
Right.
So I said, oh, interesting. I got an interview, and Jog Chatterjee showed me a campaign which he was a little shocked by. he was about 50 plus. The campaign was, all you saw was a guy's back with this plaid shirt, this woman's eyes, which were in front of him, with her hands around his neck and a pair of stilettos in her hand. And it says, he said, your place or mine, and we went to his. And I started on his buttons. Tinker, tailor, soldier, sailor. Oops, no more buttons. Liberty shirts, anything can happen. Now, it was, I think, the first really semi-adult campaign that anybody had the courage to launch in this country.
Sure.
And there was huge controversy. Of course, politically it was a no-no. But it sold more shirts than any campaign that I can remember. And so he showed me this and he said, what do you think of it? So I said, wow, I love it. And he says, rump, I don't like it. I said, because Mr. Chatterjee, you don't wear plaid shirts. You're too old for this campaign. It's meant for people like me who are 21. And he looked at me and he said, you're a cheeky little bugger. Okay, we'll give you a job, but you'll get paid as much as the peon does. So I said, fine. I joined advertising totally by accident, like a lot of things in my life. But the most important thing was, I took to it like a duck to water. And
that we all know.
Yeah, but the funny thing was that advertising is, even in those days, was divided into two sections, the suits and the yahoos.
Yep. You were the Yahoo.
No, I was a suit. I was actually a management trainee. And I was supposed to behave like a suit. And it didn't suit me.
Okay.
So I sort of poached onto the creative side and I started mucking around all the time and I didn't follow any of the rules.
At the end of the day, to pursue your passion, very often you do have to plan for that, because if your passion, for example, is to go and climb Mount Everest, this is not something that you can do without having some corpus of funds. You have to plan for that, you have to save for that. And the reason why we're talking about passion is because just like you plan for life events, which might be a marriage, it might be education of your children, it may be the marriage of one of your children, it may be retirement. In the same way, you have to plan for your passions as well. Sometimes you have to think about that very carefully, make sure you're planning long term and saving accordingly. So part of our job is to make sure we have those conversations with our clients and that they're thinking about these things and planning for them.
Again, in every household, how important is it, while there is a banker who will make the phone call saying, you have to start this investment, you have to think about these things, how important is it for each of us, one member of our families, to sort of say, I'll do this. I'll take it up. I'll make sure someone's balancing the ledgers in the house. I'll make sure that we're keeping, the money, someone's keeping a check on where the money is going, what's coming in, what's going out, what's being put aside for the future. Because that's also about people, isn't it?
Yes, so just as you plan for your personal health and your family's well-being, from a health perspective, you also need to have that planning for your financial situation. And it does make sense for that to be with one person who has an interest or a passion for that as well. So it may be very different. In one family, it may be the husband, a different family, it may be the wife. But I think it is important that one person is actually in the driving seat and making the decisions. That makes it much easier to have a clear and sort of long-term view of managing the finances for the household.
After the break, watch glimpses of the inspirational stories on the theme Love What You Do and Do What You Love.
I also realized doing a biopic on Milkha Singh that he stumbled upon running and he broke the world record. All he did was he kept working hard to find his passion.
The second session was on the topic Love What You Do and Do What You Love, and the speakers for this session were Rakesh Prakash Mehra, Shankar Mahadevan and S. Ramakrishnan.
I really don't know what my passion is, and I never knew it. But if you keep working hard, you're sure to find it, or just stumble upon it, or brush upon it, and then keep finding more things which you will get passionate about. So my granny used to tell all of us, the cousins, a story every night. She was a great storyteller. It was called Ramayana, the great Indian mythology, where there was a Ram, there's Sita, and there's Ravana, and there's Ram and Ravana, good and evil, all that is going on. And while we were almost going to sleep, she would spoil it for us. She said, actually, there's no Ram and Ravana. They're both the same. They say, actually, they're inside you, good and evil. They're not outside. So my first film was Aks. It was about good and evil. And so the good guy kills the bad guy, and the bad guy's soul, the bad soul, enters the good guy, and he starts doing bad things. It didn't work. So I realized what's going on. I had learned the art during my advertising years. I sharpened my nails. But I didn't know storytelling. So for the next 5 years, I started reading books on screenplay writing. Understood all the tricks of screenplay writing and wrote Rang De Basanti. And Rang De Basanti kind of worked out. And I also realized doing a biopic on Milkha Singh that he stumbled upon running and he broke the world record. All he did was he kept working hard to find his passion. So anything and everything which came to me as passion was actually somewhere deep down in my life. So Rang De Basanti was from my college days. All those 5 guys are my best 5 friends. These are the talks we used to have. Bhag Milkha Bhag came from my swimming days because National Stadium, Milkha Singh used to practice there before us, but he was legendary, and every time my coach would slap me and say, you know what Milkha Singh would do? You ask him to do 1 lap, he would do 100 laps. And I said, who the hell is this Milkha Singh here? What's going on? I only know jokes about him. So one day I went and met him, and his story was amazing. So we told it. I became the medium. I don't know tomorrow if I'll be making movies. I'm not sure. If I deserve them, I'll keep making them, keep telling stories. I love telling stories.
I'm very lucky to have wonderful parents. And I was too young. I bought a harmonium. I started just playing it, Then I started learning singing. I started learning veena. So, anything that I wanted, they used to passionately educate me, take me to the correct guru, take me to the correct classes. So they kind of observed the fact that I can musically develop myself. And that was the greatest thing that happened to me. Side by side, every alternate day I was performing somewhere, doing small recordings here and there. I was very involved in the advertising industry. I used to sing a lot in the advertising industry. Many of the ads I sang, which became even popular. And then came a time when I had to, kind of think back, and it was moving really fast. And my passports were taken, by the company because I was working on Oracle. And Oracle was hot, you just work, and in 6 months you're there in the US. All my engineering colleagues are in the US. I would have also been there. That was a time when I had to take a call, do I want to go there, and do I want to live in that one of those typical American, villas over there, have a couple of cars over there and earn thousands of dollars? Do I want to do that? Or do I want to do something which really is something that is brewing inside me for a long time, and I want to take the plunge? So I took the plunge. रोके तुझको आंधियां या जमीन और आसमां पाएगा जो लक्ष्य है तेरा लक्ष्य को हर हाल में पाना है.
The section, as you see here, is about love what you do and do what you love. So if someone asks me, is banking your passion? At no point in time in my career did I dream about becoming a banker and watching other people's money grow. That was not my plan. So it's not my passion. It's my job, it's my career, and I do it with a lot of passion. Living your passion does not necessarily mean leaving your job and doing something else, doing your passion. You can live your passion through various ways. For example, music is my passion. I cannot become a Shankar Mahadevan. But if I'm, let's say I love, say, Hindustani classical music, and I listen to Hindustani classical music 1 hour every day, that is living my passion. So you can actually live multiple roles. You can have a career and you can live your passion. I started a piano class at the ripe old age of 42. I went to a piano class. I started learning. I did grade 1 of the exam for the piano. The average age in the examination hall was 6. I was 42. And the average age was 6 because I was 42. If you exclude me, it is probably 5. So I did it. You can give it a shot. All of you can give it a shot. But the fact is, I left after grade 4. Why did I leave? Why do people leave? They leave because they just didn't find the time for it, like someone said. They leave because they didn't have someone pushing them. They didn't have a coach. They didn't have an expert pushing them. They probably didn't have the money or the time. And maybe they just didn't have a plan around it. If you have a plan, you know the plan can fail. It might fail. But if you don't have a plan, you will fail. And that brings me to the first takeaway of my session. That most people do not plan to fail, but they fail to plan. Therefore, if you need to choose to live your passion, think about having a robust financial plan. That gives me to my second takeaway. It's never too late to pursue your passion. Some people start at 10, some people start at 40, some people start at 70. And it's never too early to start planning for it. And finally, review your goals regularly, because only then would you regularly achieve your goals.
After the break, watch motivational stories by celebrated personalities on the theme Passion Never Retires.
The passion in me was to be able to get the best out of each day.
Third session was on the topic Passion Never Retires, and the speakers for this session were Mahesh Bhupati, Vijay Amritraj and Tushar Pradhan.
In 1999, when we had our big year, I remember we were number 1 in the world going into Wimbledon. And we had just won the French Open, which was our first Grand Slam. A few days later, we were playing the Wimbledon final. And we were playing on court number 1 because of rain and so on and so forth. And my groin was in bad shape. And all I could do was serve as hard as I possibly could. And if the ball came within my striking zone, I was just connecting. And because we were winning so many matches, I was connecting it well. And it was just a desire. It was the ambition to be able to, come so close to the most coveted trophy in sport when it comes to tennis. And, with God's grace, we were able to win that match. And, that was a pure sign of how ambition was able to just drive the pain that was we were going through during that fortnight. Tennis has obviously put me in a lot of different places. It's taught me so much. I mean, tennis is probably the most individual sport in the world. In golf, you got a caddy who's with you all the time. But in tennis, you're always on court on your own. When you're growing up, things are going wrong. There's only one person who can figure it out. It's you. If things are going right, I mean, there's mainly in juniors, you're traveling alone because you can't afford anything else. There's no one to celebrate if you win except with yourself. So it's a pretty lonely tour, but it teaches you a lot. I mean, it teaches you how to deal with challenges. It teaches you how to work out solutions when things are going wrong. In tennis, you always have to have a plan A, B, and C, because if you don't have plan B and the opponent is beating you, then you're in big trouble, because there's nobody who's able to shout out or tell you during the match what you're doing wrong.
The greatest thing sport has taught me is it has taught me about myself. It has taught me about my character. It has taught me who I am, what I can be, and what am I supposed to be. I remember when we were growing up and playing tournaments in different parts of India and in different parts of the world, my late grandmother used to say to me, "Why do you have to go so far to lose?" But often people used to also say to us, as we became professionals, "Yes, you play tennis, what do you do for a living?" And that was a question that was hard to explain in the days that I grew up. Well, of course, when I won my first tournament, that question went away, but I could never answer my late grandmother's question. But I think when we look back at sport and what it does to an individual, it creates in you a desire that, in my opinion, is unmatched. For us, the ability to have that passion which we grew up with, when there was no money in the game, or at least what it is today, passion drives you to be the best you can be. It drives you to a point where you will not take no for an answer, you will not take a loss. If you lose to one person once, you cannot lose to him a second time. What it takes and what it drives you to be better than that person, to be able to create that victory. So I started traveling at a very young age. Of course, I ended up traveling the world, going to countries I never thought I would go to, meeting people I never thought I would meet. The passion in me was to be able to get the best out of each day. To be able to not lose a day and wake up or go to sleep at night saying, oh, what did I do today?
The personal economy bit is something which we are all very, very interested in terms of how do we make wealth for ourselves. At the same time, do we have to give up our passions? But my session here is about passion never retiring. People feel that they are doing a job, and they don't believe that they're doing anything more than that. And I think that is where the difference is. Because if you have a job, you will have to retire. But if you have a passion, you're never going to retire. What is it that my passion is? And actually, it's a very boring passion that I love to invest. And it's, I think, one of the few individuals across the world, I know there are a few of us all over the world, who invest for both their professional life as well as the fact that it is a passion with them. This is a very interesting statement that Albert Einstein has talked about. The most powerful force in the universe is not light or time or whatever, but it's compound interest, according to him. If you were to say that compound interest is not really very interesting, I will make it interesting for you. What is, at 15%, a sum of money like to be in 5 years' time? It's going to double in 5 years if I can compound an investment at 15%. And in 10 years, it'll become 4 times. Yeah, that's right. In 15 years, it's going to be 8 times. But I'm trying to tell you that everything takes time. It takes a lot of time to get somewhere. If you never want to retire, embrace your passion. You will never have to retire. Thank you very much.
The second season of the HSBC Premier Personal Economy Summit was a huge success with its presence in Mumbai and Delhi, participation of eminent speakers, and a trending hashtag on social media. HSBC Premier encourages people to pursue their passions. However, it is important to plan financially to pursue one's passion, and this is where HSBC Premier can make a difference.